Hi, this is Mark Lance again. Before we move on to other subjects, I wanted to do some more fraction problems. In the past, every time we did problems, we knew whether it was going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing the fractions. So I wanted to take some problems more like you'd see on the GED test because they don't tell you what operation to use. So I want to do that, figure out the operation, set up the problem, and then we'll solve it. Okay? All right. The first problem says, Paul has a goal to jog 10 miles this weekend. If he runs 3 3/4 miles on Saturday, how many miles does he need to run on Sunday to meet his goal? Okay, so if you need to, stop the video and think for a minute what operation you're going to need to solve this problem. Again, there's only two numbers in this problem, 10 and 3 3/4. And so we just have to figure we're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Okay, hopefully we would agree that here's the total. Red pen. Here's the total number of miles that Paul wants to run. And he's already run, or he's about to run, 3 3/4 miles. So there's the problem. We're going to be subtracting this from that. So the only trick here, and we've talked about it before, what are we going to subtract this 3/4 from? And we're going to borrow 1 from this 10, which makes it a 9. And that 1 that we borrowed, we're going to take it in fourths. It's like asking for a change of $1, and you ask for, can I have that change in quarters? So hopefully we agree that 10 equals 9 4/4. $10 is the same as $9 4/4. And now we can do our subtraction very easily. We have a common denominator. 4/4 minus 3/4 is 1/4, and 9 minus 3 is 6. Okay, so that's our first one. Should we go on to the second one? Okay. As you have a shoebox that measures 4/5 of a foot long, and you're going to put some old books in the shoebox. If each book measures 1/10 of a foot wide, how many books can you put into a shoebox? Okay, so our two numbers are 4/5 and 1/10. So if you think about it, we want to know how many 1/10 will fit into that 4/5. So think about it for a minute. Stop the video if you want. And when you come back, we'll solve it. Okay, I hope we agree that this is a division problem. We want to know, here's our box, which is 4/5 of a foot, and we want to divide it by 1/10. We want to know how many 1/10 fit into that 4/5. Okay, now if you remember from the previous lesson, dividing by 1/10 is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So if we change this sign from division to multiplication, we're going to turn this on its head and make it 10/1. So 4/5 divided by 1/10 is the same as 4/5 times 10/1. And here we get a little break with the canceling because we see 5 goes into both of these numbers. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 twice, and now we have 4 times 2 is 8, 1 times 1 is 1, and our answer is 8. There'll be 8 of these books, each of which is 1/10 of a foot wide, will fit into that box, which is 4/10. Just one thing for sort of interesting, if you think about this as money, 4/5 of $1 is 80 cents. 20, 40, 60, 80. And so if we're asking, and 1/10 is 1/10 of $1 or 10 cents, we're asking how many dimes are there in 80 cents? And you can do that without a calculator or anything. In 80 cents, there are 8 dimes. Okay? All right, so that's division. Let's move on to the next one. Next one's number 4. 100 people went to the movie theater on Saturday afternoon. If 3/4 of those people were children, how many children were in the theater? So again, I don't think anyone, our two numbers are 100 and 3/4. I don't think anyone's going to be tempted to add or subtract these two numbers. So it's a question of multiplying or dividing. So what we want to do, and I always tell my students that the word of means multiplication. We want to know 3/4 of 100, or 3/4 times 100, okay? We could do 3 times 100 and then divide by 4, but we could cancel. We'll do our division first. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 100. 25. 3 times 25 is 75. I think you probably could have done this in your head too if you think about, well, what is 1/4 of 100 is 25. Well, we don't want 1/4, we want 3/4. Well, if 1/4 is 25, 2/4 will be 50, 3/4 will be 75. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Our next one, well, I'll just read it and see what it says. Ken worked 7.5 hours on Friday, 6.25 hours on Saturday, and 8.25 hours on Sunday. How many total hours did he work? Well, one clue is, since there's 3 numbers, it's probably going to be addition. And in fact, it is. They want the total, so that means add them all up. So we have 7.5, 6.25, 8.25. Okay? The reason we can't immediately add them all is because we don't have a common denominator. But these numbers are pretty easy for us by now. I think you would probably have no trouble saying that this is the same as 2/4. A half a dollar is the same as 2/4, right? So 7.1/2 is the same as 7 2/4. This is already fourths. And this is also 1/4. So we're just going to add all of them. Okay? Well, 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4, plus another one is 4/4. So our fractions add up to 4/4. We'll come back to that in a minute. Here we have 8 and 6 is 14. 14 and 7 is 21. 21 and 4/4. But remember, 4/4 is equal to 1. 4/4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So this is 4/4 equals 1. So our final answer would be 21 and 4/4, or 22. Okay? To wrap up, before we go on to some other problems, I just wanted to remind you, if you're like the way we're doing these problems, you might be interested in this book that I wrote too. It features 2 13-year-old girls who solve a mystery of a pirate's treasure set in Maine. It's not just for 13-year-olds, but other people might like it too. See you next time.